In this video, I want to show you how you can receive purchase orders and then do put away on the handheld device. So here I've got business one, and I'm going to go into purchase order, and I've got a couple of purchase orders that I want to receive here. First one is $12.95, and we've got a motherboard and printer label. So I'm going to go to the handheld device. So we have Agility Mobile here, and I'm going to go to goods receipt PO. And so with the goods receipt PO and really with all the forms on the handheld device, when you see a blue field here, that means you can type anything in. You can scan something, or if I hit a shortcut key, I can do a lookup and just pick the PO that way. For the demonstration here, I'm going to scan the purchase order. So I'm just going to scan the PO here, and I'm going to scan the item. And we see remaining is 100, and the bin is going to default to 05-doc. I'll show you where that came from here in a minute. So I'm going to do 50, hit enter. Okay, and there's our label. And I'm just going to close out here real quick and show you where that bin came from. So I'm going to go here into options, and so receiving bin, we've got 05-doc. All right, so I'm going to go back in here to goods receipt PO and show you that again. So I'm going to scan the purchase order, scan the item, and now we have remaining 50. Type in 50, hit enter. Okay, and we got our label again. Now the label I'm printing to the screen here for your viewing pleasure, but obviously normally that would, in the warehouse, it would print right to the label printer on the floor. But you can see how fast that label was able to come to the screen, and it would print out equally fast to the label printer on the floor. So let me just take a look, step back, and go back into business one here and show you that as soon as you do these receipts on the handheld, any transaction you do within the WiSys system, they're real-time updated back into business one. So you can see the motherboard here is closed. If we look at the relationship map, we can see that we've got two goods receipt PO documents that have been created. Okay. So now let's receive the other item. So we're sitting here, so we see that we scanned the order, and after we received the motherboard, the flow of the screen took us right back up to the item. So we can scan now our second item, which is the motherboard, or I'm sorry, the printer label, and we'll scan the first batch, and we're going to receive half of those on one. And then again, we've got our label here, and then we'll scan the item again and get our second batch. And we'll do the remaining 250. Okay. So again, if we go back into business one and we look at that purchase order, and we go to our $12.95, we can see that line is now closed. All right, so that's just the simple goods receipt purchase order, but I want to show you how we can now use Form Studio and make some tweaks to this form. So this, actually, I want to go to business one. I want to go into Form Studio here, and so we can see the goods receipt PO form when we pulled up on the handheld looks the same as when we look at here in our WiSys Visual Form Studio. So the goods receipt PO, this is the design time version of it. So you can click around, you can move fields around. So if I want to move this up, move it around, I can add new fields, add new buttons, and then assign different actions and things to those buttons. I'm going to remove these two just to, don't really want to do that for the demonstration here. But after we received the item, you notice that the flow took us right back to the item, so we could then just keep scanning all the items while we're all in that order. If I click on the Save button, I'll show you how that happens. So there's a couple of things that happen on the Save button. It did a formula to check to make sure we're not over-receiving. It did a PO receipt post, so this is the DI API call to business one. Then it printed a document, and then it cleared the form. When it clears the form, it starts from the very first field at the bottom, and it works its way up to the top, field by field, until it comes to a field that has clear stop set to true. So for batch items, I might want to modify this form and set the batch clear stop equal to true. So that as I scan the order, scan the item, and the batch quantity, I can just start scanning batch quantity, batch quantity, batch quantity, because maybe I have a truck coming off with 100 batches on it, or however, what's important to you, making the flow a little different for you. So I'm going to save it, and if I wanted to, I could go ahead and simulate it right here. So the exact same code for running it here is going to run the exact same over on the actual handheld device. So I could come in here and scan an order and go through and validate it and go through my variables and debug the variables and make sure everything's flowing the way it's supposed to flow. But let's go back to the handheld and do it right here on the handheld. But I need to close the form first and reopen it to acquire the new instructions, because all those instructions are saved to the database repository. So here I'm going to scan the purchase order again. I'm going to scan an item. This is a different PO, same item on different PO, and I've got remaining 100. So I'll scan that first batch again. I'm going to do 50. Okay, and as soon as we received it, you notice the focus went right to that batch field. And there's our label. We'll close out the label. We'll do the second batch and the other 50. And again, we're cleared up to the batch screen, or the batch field. All right, so once I'm done, I can just clear back up to the item, do the next item, or clear back up to the order and do the next order. So that's it for the goods receipt PO. And so the next thing I want to show is put away. But before we get into put away, I just want to take a snapshot and see what the inventory currently looks like. So if we go look at the item master data, and particularly for the motherboard, I want to look at the bin location content list for this item. So we see that 05-doc, we have 100 now sitting in the 05-doc bin. We just received those in. And we have 10 in the 142 bin. And so we're going to put away into that bin. But now I also want to show that under WiSys here in the inventory tab, we also have some really nice grid views that we deploy. And these are 100% customizable. You can also create your own grids and drag them onto the menu of Business One, and there are other videos you can watch to see how that can be done. If we go to item code, and we can do a search, and all the grids that we have this nice filterable column header, so you can just go to any of these columns and just start filtering in on anything you want. We sort this by bin code, and we can see there's that 05-doc, there's the 100, and the 142 bin has the 10. So it's the data right out of Business One. We're just looking at it at a little different way, a little bit of a higher level and a faster way to get to that data. All right, so let's go back to the handheld, and we're going to launch put away. So you'll see that here we have the 05-doc bin at the top here, starting with the 05-doc. That's the same bin that we did the PO receiving into. So that'll be our from bin, and then we're going to scan the item and the bin to which we want to put it away. So we want to scan the motherboard item, the bin that we want to put it away into, and we just type in 100 and it does the transfer. All right, so we'll close the put away. And if we go back to Business One now, we can look at, we'll just go to that same view because it's just the same data coming out of Business One. And we'll pull up the item, and we'll see now we have, let me sort this by bin code. So now we have 0 in the doc bin, and it's all been moved over to the 142 bin. All right, so that's a pretty basic, easy way to put away. So that concludes the video. We just showed you quickly how to do PO receiving, how to take Form Studio and modify a form, and then how to do a simple put away process. Thanks for watching.